So here's a site, well, basically you'll never look at maps again. So this is a site called the true size of, and yeah, we have America, India, and China here, and this is America, here, India, and China. So yeah, we start with the biggest countries, except for Russia, the three most populated countries in the world as well. So yeah, how it works is basically this is the tutorial, and yeah, India is one of them. So yeah, this is how big India is compared to the UK. The UK actually colonized India, and India is bigger. India is actually bigger than Sweden. It's bigger than Greenland too. So yeah, that's the whole point of this video. We're going to be seeing countries that are bigger or smaller than they should be, because yeah, India is actually smaller than Brazil. China is actually bigger than Europe. Europe, yeah. This part of China is bigger than can hold all of these countries here. All of these countries here, China can basically hold. So we're gonna be going over one example that I find pretty odd, and that is the country of Paraguay. So the country of Paraguay is seen as a very, very small country. Also, it's a small country in South America, but it's actually as big as Spain, and actually bigger than Germany. So yep, Paraguay is actually bigger than Germany, slightly bigger than Germany. They're around the same size. And Germany has 80 million people, but Paraguay only has like 8 million people. And yeah, here's Paraguay. Paraguay can fit in the entire Benelux region. Can fit. It's basically as bigger than Yugoslavia was. And yes, but it's still smaller than Libya. It's still small. Yeah, it's still considered a medium-sized country, but it's definitely bigger than a lot of Europe is, except for Russia. Russia can probably still fit Paraguay in. Russia is still the largest country on the face of the planet. Yeah, Paraguay can still fit comfortably in Paraguay. We'll move the U.S. these countries back here. Another country that's bigger than you think it is Somalia. So Somalia is another country that is bigger than you think it is. Somalia is a pretty big country here, but Somalia actually is very, very, very long. Not as long as well, yeah. Somalia is this big. Here can fit the entire Benelux region, which has a higher population than Somalia. Of course, it's as cool in Somaliland, which we're gonna have to get Somaliland as well, because they count that as a separate place here as well. And yeah, Somalia and Somaliland can go as just as big as France. So yeah, Germany is a pretty big place, but it's actually smaller than a lot of places than you would expect. Germany is big. It has 80 million people. Smaller than Algeria, smaller than Chad, smaller than Niger, smaller than the Congo, smaller than Nigeria, smaller than Mauritania. A lot of bigger countries in Africa is smaller than, even Zambia is bigger than Germany. Botswana, Germany is smaller than that. So all these countries in Africa can actually fit Germany. And yeah, Kenya is more the same size as Germany. Same thing with Botswana. And Ethiopia, yeah, Germany can fit in Ethiopia as whole, and Saudi Arabia. Germany is actually a pretty small country, if you think it is. And let's put the Germany over the U.S. as well. Here, Germany is around the size of Texas, I think. Yeah, around the size of Texas. Germany is around the size of Texas. Here, and yeah, we'll clear the map so we have no countries on the map. Here, now the map is all clean. And yeah, another country is Mexico. Mexico is way bigger than most people think it is. Not New Mexico. Mexico is actually pretty big for a country. Mexico is bigger than it can fit Spain entirely inside it. Mexico is way, way bigger than Spain. Here, Mexico can stretch from Libya to this part of the Atlantic Ocean as well. It can also stretch from the tip of UK all the way to Istanbul, into this part of Ukraine. Mexico is a very, very, very big country, and it still is. It still is smaller than Africa, but yeah, it's definitely much bigger than people think it is. Another country another country another pretty funny comparison is Bangladesh and the state of Georgia. So Bangladesh is a pretty small country in Asia, but despite this, Bangladesh has 140 million people, a lot of people, the most densely populated place in the entire world. It's actually just the same as a similar size to the state of Georgia. So yeah, this is Bangladesh over the state of Georgia. It isn't that big. It's really just the size of the state of Georgia. You know, and yeah, Bangladesh is not, but it still stretches from Jacksonville to Chattanooga. So yeah, basically Bangladesh is definitely, and yeah, this is a country that has way more people than a lot of areas. It can fit inside Texas, Ontario, which has way less people, Colombia, Brazil. Actually, yeah, Brazil has more people than Bangladesh, but this entire area is size of some of these Brazilian states. Can fit inside a lot of countries. Bangladesh is a very small and densely populated country, but still, European countries. It sits inside you. It's still a similar size to UK, Poland, Sweden, and yeah, Sweden isn't as big. Iceland isn't as big as you think it is. Iceland, of course, Iceland is actually quite small of a place. Iceland can fit inside Algeria, Libya. It can fit inside Poland. Yeah, Iceland looks pretty big up here, but because of the Mercator protection, Iceland isn't as big as you think it is. Iceland can fit comfortably inside of Brazil, and is actually the size of Georgia. Again, for that comparison, or around the same size as New York State or Pennsylvania, or slightly larger than Pennsylvania. It does fit comfortably inside Montana, which both it does comfortably fit inside Wyoming, which is around the same population as Iceland. Another place that is often used is Greenland. Greenland is really big on this map. Greenland's massive, but because of the projection, Greenland isn't actually that big. Greenland can still stretch from Chicago to Tempe, but it is not that as big as people think it is. It can fit inside Brazil pretty easily, and it can definitely fit inside Africa. Africa is much bigger than people think it is. Africa is actually a massive continent. Africa is a massive continent. I don't think it can do the whole continent of Africa, but yeah, Africa is a pretty big continent. I think Africa can fit the entirety of Europe except for Russia inside it. And yeah, Russia is also pretty big. This should be no surprise and no shocker. It looks pretty big on this map, but it's still a pretty massive country. Russia is around double the size of mainland Europe. Here, Russia is around double the size. Here, Russia is way bigger than the continental U.S. is. And Russia is way bigger than Central America and the Caribbean. It can fit the entirety of that area and still fit in Florida and a few other U.S. states. It also stretches across all from Morocco and this part all the way to Kazakhstan. From Bulgaria to this island and there, it stretches from Barcelona to this tip of Mali. Or for a European comparison, the eastern part of Russia stretches from the most part of Spain to this part of Russia here. And in Asian comparison, this part of Russia is at the end of the Afghanistan border, and it goes all the way to Tokyo at the border. And you can fit parts of North Korea and South Korea. And all of South Korea is it's longer than all of Indonesia. Yeah, Russia is way bigger than people think it is. And of course, North Korea is one. Oh, North Dakota. It then doesn't do North Korea for some reason. But yeah, North Dakota is actually the same size as Nicaragua. So Nicaragua is considered a medium-sized country. North Dakota is actually pretty big for a place. If it's a country, it fits the entirety of Hispaniola as well. I guess we could do Korea. Yeah, this is North Korea. Yeah, North Korea. North Korea is actually pretty small. South Korea is as well. But yeah, North Korea can easily fit inside India, Saudi Arabia, Iraq. But it's still not. It's still probably as big as Europe. Like I get to Europe. It's around the same size as Bangladesh, but it can still fit the entirety of this region of Europe. Likely, Denmark is pretty small, but it's still very small compared to many countries. It can fit. It's larger than Ireland. It's very least, and yeah, North Korea won't be able to invade the U.S. Why? Because North Korea can fit inside the U.S. Yes, North Korea is smaller than the state of Texas. Texas is a very colossal place as it is. As it is. Texas is pretty big. It is the second largest U.S. state besides Alaska. It's the second most populated state besides California. Texas is bigger than Germany, Spain, and Portugal. But still smaller than it still can fit in many African countries. That's because a lot of African countries, for example, Chad, are pretty big. Chad was colonized by the French, but the country is bigger than France. It is bigger than almost the entirety of the Balkans. And Niger, another country that is pretty massive, is also another colony of France, also bigger than France, and also bigger than the UK, along with Chad being bigger than both the UK and Ireland as well. Niger and Chad are actually just as big as Sweden and Norway, and can fit Iceland, and Chad is basically around the size of Greenland. Chad can stretch from this part of Wisconsin all the way down to the tip of Mississippi, and Niger it can tip from Mississippi and can fit and is further north than even New York City. So these countries are actually pretty big in Africa. And now let's get to one of the biggest countries in Africa, the Democratic Republic of the Congo. Okay, not these islands. The Democratic Republic of the Congo is a huge country. Democratic Republic of Congo, this is versus Belgium, its colonizer. Belgium is very small, and yet Africa is far bigger than people think it is. Democratic Republic of Congo can fit Germany, and and at a point they are both roughly around the same population. But the Democratic Republic of Congo is bigger than Germany is. Same thing with Libya. Oh yeah, Libya's in Africa. Libya is also pretty big, but that's because it's a Sahara Desert. But the Congo, I'm gonna have to move North Korea, Niger, Chad, and Iceland all the way down here. The Democratic Republic of the Congo can stretch from Miami and can still fit many major U.S. cities like Detroit, Chicago, Indianapolis, Louisville, Atlanta, Nashville, Dallas, St. Louis, and almost stretch to Yan and also even fits Milwaukee. And even, yeah, this country is bigger than the drive from Orlando to Chicago, essentially. So basically, when we go, and also can stretch from Charleston, South Carolina, all the way to Ariane, Texas, and it can even fit and almost gets us to Toronto, and almost stretches to Madison, Wisconsin. So yeah, that's how big the Democratic Republic of Congo is, and that is the real size of some countries. Yes, some countries are bigger than you'd expect them to be, especially Africa. Africa, in terms of size, is pretty overlooked. Considering the fact that you look at a map, Poland and Niger and Germany and some of these Africa and France and Niger should be around the same size, but the real truth is they're not. Niger is definitely bigger than France, and the Congo is definitely bigger than both Spain, Portugal, and France combined. here, but it's still smaller than India because India is big in China and definitely Russia. So that's basically about this video. Goodbye.